My name is Archbishop Tim Costelloe. I'm the Archbishop of Perth. I think I first thought of being a priest quite consciously when I was in about grade 5 or 6. And the reason really, as I look back now, is because of the influence of the assistant priest in the parish in which I grew up in Melbourne. He was one of the last of the Irish priests to come across to Australia, and I was one of his altar boys. And we formed a very close friendship. He was a wonderful man. He's still alive. He's retired now. A wonderful man, Father Joe Brown. I realise now that he was a very shy fellow, but at the time I didn't realise that. I just thought of him as a very kind, very welcoming, very friendly and generous person. And I thought, as you do when you're a little boy, I'd like to be like that when I grow up. The other thing that I often reflect on is that in the porch of our parish church, there was a statue of St Anthony of Padua. And you might remember, those of you who know St Anthony, that often he's depicted standing holding a book. And there's the infant Jesus standing on the book, and the two of them are looking at each other. And I can remember standing in the porch of that parish church, looking at that statue and somehow or other understanding that our faith was about a relationship between Jesus and us. There was something about that look between the two of them which helped me to understand that this was what our faith was about. So it was really those two things, as I look back now as an adult, which began to germinate in me and eventually led me to the decision to become a priest. Being a student at a Salesian school as I was, one of the things I came to appreciate, and I think it's one of the gifts that the Salesians bring to the church, is this sense of the unique value and specialness of each person. I was very impressed by the joy of the Salesians and the way in which, even just as a boy in one of their schools, I was treated with great respect. I knew that they liked me, I knew that I mattered to them. So I joined the Salesians in 1977, although prior to that I'd spent a few years at university and working in different jobs, trying to work out exactly what I was going to do. The period of formation for Salesians is quite long, 10 or 11 years, and like everybody I've ever met since, formation was a time of both great joy and great growth, but also of some real difficulties and doubts. And I certainly had my share of those, wondered whether this was really what I wanted to do, struggled with the whole question of celibacy and, in a sense, giving up the possibility of getting married and having a family. But I eventually came to realise, somewhere deep inside me, that if I was going to be the person that God created me to be, going to be the person that I felt deep within me I needed to be, the only way for me to do that was to become a priest and to be a religious. And so that deep sense of calling was the thing I think that sustained me through all the ups and downs. So I kept going in spite of quite a few challenges and difficulties, and was eventually ordained as a priest in 1986. So now, as I actually approach the 30th anniversary of my ordination as a priest, I can look back and say that it really has been a wonderful life. It's been a very challenging life. It's been a life that stretched me and called me to do things and perhaps to be things that I never thought I could do or be. It's been a life that has helped me to understand that no matter what my limitations might be or my failings might be, the Lord who called me hasn't abandoned me. So each day I try and entrust myself to the Lord, entrust the day to the Lord, entrust my ministry to the Lord. And after 30 years, I'm not sure how successful I've been or how well I've enabled the Lord to work through me, but I know that even in those times when I've been unfaithful, He is always faithful. And so I'm enormously grateful for the gift of my vocation to the priesthood. I'm overwhelmed by it, overawed by it really. and sometimes struggle to understand why the Lord would have chosen me, but he has. And because he has, I know that he continues to be with me, continues to support me, continues to lift me up when I fall. And if that's been my experience for the last 30 years, I've got no reason to imagine that it won't be my experience into the future.